I'm going to be talking to you about something that is in the media right now, something that's kind of affecting everybody, and everybody seems to have an opinion on it, whether it's positive or negative. The Bill of Rights, the Constitution. Does it apply to all or to some? Does it apply to certain situations but not other situations? As Americans, we feel a sense of pride when we see an American flag flying high in the wind, or we see an eagle swoop down and grab its prey. We feel a sense of pride when we see a convoy rolling down the interstate with National Guard soldiers. The law and Constitution gives us the freedom to feel that way. Even back in 1791, we realized that government isn't perfect, and we needed to be protected. So we drafted the Bill of Rights. That being said, let's talk about Colin Kaepernick. He's in the news right now. If you haven't been living under a rock, then you've heard about what he's done. What he did. What did he do? He decided to take a knee during the playing of the national anthem during the National Football game, during the preseason. This has created a firestorm. The media has continued to villainize Colin Kaepernick, to treat him like a pariah. What he's done is the most horrible thing that's happened in the United States in the last 50 years. But before we decide to judge one action of this man, let's look at the man in total. Let's talk about Colin Kaepernick. He grew up biracial and was adopted by two white parents. Growing up biracial, I can speak on that to where it is a little tough. You kind of don't know which end of the spectrum you want to fall under, the black side, the white side. So at times it can be confusing. And for Colin Kaepernick growing up, he stated it was a little confusing, especially having white parents that loved him and adopted him, but it was tough. As a youngster, he excelled in sports, and in doing so, he decided to let his sports and his athleticism speak for him. That did him well. He was given a scholarship to the University of Nevada, where he played football, and he excelled. During his whole college experience, he didn't get in trouble. He didn't get any law violations. He broke school records and was just what you would want out of a college student. Doing so, he was drafted to the NFL, and in the NFL, he's had his ups and downs on the field. However, off the field, there's no DUIs, there's no domestic violence, there's no batteries, there's no drug use. Colin Kaepernick has been what you would want out of an NFL player. That being said, what has he done now? He's decided to take a stand silently. Taking that knee has affected how millions of people feel about Colin Kaepernick. But Colin Kaepernick, as a person, has donated back to his cities. He donated $60,000 this year alone, before this scenario happened, to New York so that kids could get school supplies, so that they could get backpacks, so that they could be ready for school. That's money out of his pocket that you never heard about, that I never heard about, just because he wanted to give back. And that's the type of NFL player that he has been prior to this whole scenario going on. Does he sound like the villain that the media is painting him out to be? Probably not. But that's just how the media has painted this young man. By not standing, he exercised his First Amendment right. He stated, in his words, "I'm not going to stand to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color." He stated, "This is bigger than football, and it would be selfish for me not to make a stand." He remained seated during that national anthem, and now that has created a firestorm because more and more NFL players are starting to do it also. That being said, you go to a high school football game, high school football players are doing it now. College football players are doing it now. It started a movement. Whether you hate it or you love it, it's created a dialogue. It's opened up conversation. It's a fact that the nation is in a little bit of turmoil when you start talking about police relations in certain communities. Certain communities feel like they're afraid of the police. They don't understand the relationship that they have with the police. These relationships need to be mended, and the way to do that is to create a dialogue. Let's look at the National Football League. Roughly 205 million people flipping through the channels stop and watch NFL football. That is a huge stage. That is a huge grandstand to voice your opinion, to talk about something. And he decided to do so. And he decided to do it silently. The commissioner of the NFL even stated that Colin Kaepernick did not break any rules. They are not required to stand, but it is encouraged. With that being said, the president stated this is his freedom. This is his right to do so, whether he agrees with it or not. The vast majority people are going to say this. They're going to say, hey, this is disrespectful to the military. They're going to jump on that bandwagon. A lot of NFL coaches, a lot of NFL players, former players, are all stating the same thing. Colin Kaepernick has came out publicly and stated that he does have a great respect for the military. He has family and friends that serve. They fight for freedom and liberty. And a lot of military veterans come home and don't get those freedoms and liberties that they were fighting for. Those are his words, not mine. The protest isn't about military. It isn't about his disrespect for the military. It isn't about what he is saying about the military or not saying about the military. It's about his Black Lives Matter and the fact that he believes that black lives in certain communities are not being treated fairly. That being said, my office partner and 15-year veteran, Sergeant First Class Marshall, stated she joined the military to fight for these exact rights, not for Colin Kaepernick, not for the way he feels or his ability to express himself the way he did, but for anybody to express himself in any way that they want, as long as it's not directly affecting someone else. It is your freedom and your right. Does it hurt your feelings? Absolutely. Do you have to agree with it? No, you don't. But at the end of the day, it was a silent protest. That being said, myself, I'm a 9-year veteran, and I'm told every day that I'm around somebody that's talking about football, how I should be feeling about this particular subject, how I should be, you should be so offended. You should be so offended to what he's saying about you. And it gets old people telling me how I should feel just because I'm in the military and he said and he did this. Well, I don't particularly like being told how to feel. Military members feel like props, being used for propaganda, because this isn't about the military. U.S. Army veteran Matt Allen says it best. Politicians and corporations often use the military and its servicemen and women for promotion. That leaves some veterans feeling like props for people who have not made the sacrifice but want to cloak themselves in credibility. I look back to one of my favorite inspirational athletes of all time, Jackie Robinson. He broke the color barrier in 1947. And in 1947, he faced scrutiny, he was ridiculed, he was treated like trash, and he took the same protest. He refused to stand for the playing of the national anthem because he felt like he was a black man living in a white world. Now, nobody's talking about Jackie Robinson. If you look up Jackie Robinson in Wikipedia, it's going to say nothing but glorious things about him. But he took the same stand. And what's kind of sad is that it's 70 years later, we're having that same exact discussion about inequality. And it's not a discussion that anybody likes to have. Many veterans, hashtag Veterans for Kaepernick, was trending. There's a lot of veterans that agree with what he is doing. There's a lot that disagree, but believe that he has the right to do it. Now, how I feel, I would never sit during the playing of the national anthem. I would stand. But I also feel like I fight, and my battles have fought for his freedom to do that. That being said, for many generations, athletes have been our voice. Athletes have been the voice of change. Muhammad Ali, Jackie Robinson, and now Colin Kaepernick. Agree or disagree with it, it was his choice. Nothing was looted, nothing was burned, no one was shot, and he didn't affect any police officers at the end of the day. You can disagree with his execution. You can absolutely hate what he's done and how he chose to do it. You can say, oh, he should have done it a different way. Well, the national anthem's sacred, and that shock and awe moment affected everybody. Because it was a national anthem, that's the only reason that this dialogue is being talked about. And at the end of the day, like I said before, that's what we want. We want dialogue. We want people to discuss it. It may be the afterthought. The first thought may be, oh, I hate Colin Kaepernick because he did this. But the afterthought would be, why did he do this? He actually donated $1 million to victims of police inequality and brutality. Of his own money. That's $1 million of his own money. He put his money where his mouth is, and he's actually motivated other NFL players to donate also, which is making a big difference to these people that were subject to these inequalities. The media has fueled this fire, and it's not going to burn out anytime soon. So if you feel so inclined to go out and buy a Colin Kaepernick jersey, to burn a Colin Kaepernick jersey, well, feel free to do so. That is your right as an American, and you can do that, and you can feel any way you want to about it. But I just want you to have the discussion about why you're doing it and why he did what he did. Because he is affecting change whether we like it, whether we want to admit it or not. Colin Kaepernick, hats off to you. Don't agree with sitting, but I do understand where you're coming from, and you do have the right to do it. Thank you.